Hi guys, my name is Christine and I'm a dating, relationship and personal development coach. And today I'm talking about, have they backed away? And if they have backed away from you and started to lose interest in you, then do this. So what is the magic thing that you should do when someone perhaps says to you that they need space, or they've just backed off quite a lot and they're not messaging you as frequently, then they're not displaying the same level of interest as they were perhaps that they were at the beginning? Then the best thing for you to do is nothing, right? To do nothing. And what I mean by nothing is you need to do a lot less than what they're doing. So, for example, if they message you every 3 days, they reply to your message every 3 days, then you also do the same thing to them. Then you respond to their message every 3 days. You may even want to do a lot less, right? You may want, if they don't reply to you until 3 days later, then you reply every 4 days, something like that. So you want to do nothing, you want to do less, because when this sort of thing starts happening, when someone really, let's say you really like a woman and you really, really are into her, you're hoping things are going to work out, and then suddenly she starts losing interest. What usually happens here is you'll start to feel panic, like, oh no, I need to do something. I need to message. I need to reach out. I need to I need to ask her what's going on, what she's thinking. I need to see where I stand. Like, are we still together? What's going on? Are we still dating each other? And it makes you want to do that kind of thing because you want to get to the bottom of it. You want to get to the end point. You want to find out what's going on. You want to get to the bottom of this. But usually when you do that sort of thing, it only makes the situation a lot worse. Because one of the main reasons why someone may back away from you when they're dating you is that perhaps you've started to make things go a little bit more faster than what they're comfortable with. It may also be the case that they've just simply lost interest in you. But with someone who simply just feels like, oh, this is happening, things are happening way too fast, I am attracted to them, but this is just happening too fast, they start to back off, right? So if you start to back off as well and you start to give them space, if they're attracted to you and they still like you, then what that is going to do is that's going to make them start to pursue you. They're going to start reaching out to you because they're going to think, oh, I haven't heard from him or her in a few days. Oh, I better reach out to them, right? I should probably, ask how they're doing, or ask if they want to meet up, ask if they want to hang out, right? But if let's say it's someone who isn't interested in you anymore, things will just fizzle out. Right, things would just if you the moment you start contacting them less, they'll start contacting you less, and then eventually it'll get to a point where you're just no longer speaking to each other. Okay, and you've got to see both of these scenarios as good, right? The scenario where if they do still like you, they'll reach out. So obviously that's good because obviously you really like them, right? So that's a good thing. You can arrange a date, you can hang out, have fun with each other, and have a good time, right? But if they don't, and it just fizzles out, then that situation is also good. And the reason why that situation is also good is because now it's just opened up space in your life for you to find someone else to, just think, okay, well, this was just an incompatibility thing. Obviously, it wasn't going to work out. Even if we did get together, it was probably going to end because obviously they didn't have that much interest in me, which is fine. Everyone's allowed to feel what they feel. If someone's attracted to me and I'm attracted to them, then great. But if I'm attracted to someone and they're not attracted to me, then, well, that's just tough luck. It sucks because I think they're really cute, but if they're not into it, then there's not really much I can do. I can't force someone to fall in love with me. I can't force someone to feel attraction for me. And you know what? That's fair enough. One of the ways that I've kind of started to see this and I started to understand this was, so I'm gay, and when I look at women, there are some women that I think are attractive, and there are some women that I don't find attractive, right? And you've also got to remember that for yourself. Like, not everyone you are going to like is going to like you back, right? And not everyone, you're not attracted to everybody. So let's say you're a man watching this. No doubt, when you look at women, there are some women that you find attractive, and there are some women that you don't find attractive, that you wouldn't like to date, that you wouldn't like to be with. And you've got to realize that the other person also has that kind of radar, right? You might be just one of those people that they just don't find attractive, and it's not something that you should take personally, but perhaps it took them a couple of dates to figure that out. Like, perhaps they saw your profile picture and thought, oh yeah, they're really cute. You hang out with them, you go on one date, and they start to realize, oh, you know what, actually you know, your personality or the vibe that you're giving off is giving off more of a vibe that I'm not really that attracted to. And they're probably never going to say this to you, but these kinds of things do happen, and that's what you just got to accept that as a reality of life. Not everyone you meet is going to be your cup of tea. You're not going to be attracted to everyone you go on a date with, right? You may think that they look cute in their profile pictures, but when you actually meet them, you don't really like the vibe. And there might be the case with you. Perhaps they went on a date with you and just didn't like your vibe, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? It's just, you know, you got to not take it too personally, basically. Right? So when someone backs away from you and they start losing interest, you got to realize that, you know, it could be the case that, you know, perhaps I've just come on a little bit too strong recently. I've been making things go a bit too fast. So what I need to do now is just do the kind thing and back off a little bit so they can, you know, so we can start moving back at a pace that they feel comfortable with, right? And, you know, and that's fine, you know, you have to see that as, okay, I can do that, that's an okay thing for me to do. Is, you know, and if for whatever reason they lose complete interest, they lose all interest for me by me backing off, then obviously it means that they're just not into it anymore. And that's okay too, because that means I can just find someone different, right? But it's the difficult thing is when you really, really like them, right? And that's why it is difficult. And usually people come to my channel when it's too late, like they've already over pursued, they've already messed things up too much. But at least now you know, in future instances where this kind of thing happens to you, not to take it too personally, to back off, and to try and also not to get your feelings involved too much, too soon, so you can avoid that kind of mistake altogether. Because a lot of people make that mistake, you know, they go on one date with someone and then they fall completely head over heels for them, and because they have a lot of emotion and a lot of strong emotion towards them, they end up making mistakes, they end up trying to force things, trying to push a relationship too soon, and it's not at the pace that the other person is ready for, because perhaps they don't feel as intensely towards you. It doesn't mean that they'll never feel that way for you, because they may do, but it may just take them a bit more time to get to that place where your emotions were engaged like almost instantly, right? So you just got to remember that everyone's different, right? They may still be interested in you, which is why it's important that when they back away from you, that you also back away from them as well, and you give them time and space, right? Another thing as well is when they do reach out to you, if this is someone who is still interested in you and just needed a bit of space, once you've backed off and they start reaching out to you more, don't be mean to them, don't be cold to them, don't be say, oh, thank God the heavens have opened and you finally blessed me with a response to my message, right? Don't be butthurt or resentful or passive aggressive to them, right? If they're doing something that you've wanted them to do, like reply to your message, or say when they're available to meet up with you, or maybe they're asking you out and say, oh, and they might have said something to you like, hey, when are you available to hang out? I'd like to see you. You know, if they've said something like that, don't be mean to them just because you haven't heard from them in a few days. If they're doing something that you want and you still want to hang out with them, you still want to date them, you still want to be romantic with them, then don't be mean or cold to them. Right? Now, if it's the case that you really didn't like the fact that they didn't respond to you, and you don't want them to behave that way, and you don't want to be with someone that behaves that way, then don't respond to their message. Or you could just say to them, look, I don't think things are going to work out, but, you know, thank you for your interest and your time. You know, thank you for the date if you've already been on a date with them. You know, if you're not happy with that behavior and you don't want to be with someone like that, then don't worry about it. Right? That you don't have to continue dating them. But if you still want to date them, then don't be mean to them when they do actually start behaving in the way that you wanted them to, right? So that's something else to consider as well. But, you know, what you got to realize as well is if you don't hear from them, if, you know, you've backed off and they've backed off even more and it's fizzled out, you've got to move on from it. You've got to let it go. You've got to just see it as, you know what, this was just an incompatibility thing. Obviously, things just weren't right. Perhaps they weren't attracted to me, or they didn't like my vibe, which is fair enough because I'm not attracted to everybody I see as well, you know, and just kind of see it from that point of view and just to be a bit more chill about it, okay? So I hope this helped. I hope that's given you some information on what to do when someone backs away from you like this. Thank you so much for watching, and if you'd like to get in touch with me personally and you'd like coaching with me, then please go to www.christineloveridge.com. Thank you so much for watching, and I shall talk to you again very soon. Goodbye.